Hello and welcome to our presentation today. Today's topic is cultural sensitivity and inclusion. My name is Jessica Valencia-Biskupiak, and I teach the Parent-Infant Program here at California School for the Deaf Riverside. Hello and welcome. My name is Jacy Pedersen, and I am a preschool teacher here at California School for the Deaf Riverside. Enjoy our presentation today. We'd like to discuss a little bit about basic human rights. Every child does have the right to survival. They do have the right to develop to their fullest potential. They have right to the protection from any harmful influences or abuse. They also have the right to engage fully in family, cultural, and social life. And this will definitely apply to our inclusion and our inclusivity portion of today's topic. Now take a look back at your childhood, maybe with your child as well. Your school setting, did they celebrate your holidays of your culture? Keep that in mind. Did you have the same race teacher in one of your classes? There's usually only one or two that were the same race as me. Or were there many in your classes that were the same race? Did you have role models? As a Latina, did I have a Latina teacher growing up? Looking back, no, I didn't. Maybe one out of my entire childhood. I wonder if others have had the same feeling, or if you've seen your role model, someone for you to look up to in your same race. Your previous teachers, were they able to support you and push you to your maximum potential? Or did they think that maybe you were limited or weren't able to achieve? Think of one teacher that really had a huge impact on your life. What race, what culture were they? What made that teacher more unique than others? Has a teacher asked about your future goals, and encouraged you and supported you? Or did they downplay your ability to achieve your goals based on your race or based on your ethnicity? With those questions in mind, I know there's a lot of school teachers out there that are Caucasian. I think it's important that we emphasize and recognize the truth in our classrooms. Children at an early age, maybe 2 years of age, already have their identity, and they recognize different languages and different races. They recognize gender as well. They also recognize physical ability of others. So whatever it is that we teach, our bias does affect our students. It's important that these kids recognize that and have conversations about these things, have that dialogue, and really internalize that. So we'll talk a little bit more about that inclusivity. Intersectionality. It's important that we all recognize intersectionality and it really expand on what it means. So we have a short video to show you, and then we can have a discussion. So we have Jerry, Fatima, and Greta. Greta has more privileges than the other two. Do you notice the difference in what their thinking is? Every individual, myself being female, Latina, and deaf, that makes me who I am. Jacy has different background abilities. Now, as a white individual, I would move through my life every day with different situation, different books, curriculum. I feel that it applies to me. I didn't really have to think about my identity as a white individual or even my religion, while others felt conflicted. There's a lot of assumptions made. It's important that we have this dialogue about our differences, about who we are. If, for example, Jessica was explaining about her culture, I would learn something that there are differences in people's backgrounds. So we have different barriers that we all face in our school, in our curriculum, in our everyday role models with our friends, and we can see see each other in a different lens. It's that intersectionality lens I think is critical. Why is inclusion needed in our classrooms? Well, it's critical to increase that experience for students with disabilities or families that have differences. They have that feeling of belonging and their connectivity to their classroom and their friends, not only for socialization. We have classroom socializations happening in different activity centers all the time. It's important that we step in and have that discussion so kids can have that positive experience. They feel important, they feel welcome, they feel like they contribute to the classroom. For development, each student has a variety of different developmental abilities. There's no max capacity for all of the students. It's important to have everyone thrive to their own potential. We want to make sure we support those kids' needs. Like, for example, if someone has a disability and someone has different beliefs and different religion, it's important that we recognize our differences and our similarities and support and have that same amount of support, the same amount of support and recognition and love and acceptance for each other. California School for the Deaf, our mission statement is listed here, so I'll give you just a minute to read that. CSDR is engaged in a positive environment where both ASL and English are valued, cultures are embraced, learning is relevant, and self-worth is uplifted. In collaboration with families and school communities, Southern California students prepare for college and careers through academic rigor, innovative technology, and extracurricular activities. That's critical that we are all aware of extracurricular activities and also activities within the school. We want to make sure that our students and our community members, our children, feel that they are welcome and included and embraced for their culture. Their different intersectionality, their different needs, their individual goals. Everyone is pushed to the best ability that they have. Our inclusive philosophy approach with CSDR is IDEA. So it's identity, diversity, equity, and action. Now, expanding on that, identity is really crucial for an individual. Each student does have a different experience, a different family background, different family dynamic. We want to recognize each one of those identities as the individual, who they are, how they feel connected. So that way each student knows where everyone else is coming from. Diversity. When you have a very strong identity, each student can share their background and their family history. All students can see and learn from each other. It's not that one family is the same. We are all different. Some families have different parents. Some families live with grandparents. Some families have a variety of different living situations. It's important that we include all of those aspects so that we know that there's not just one type of family, but many different types of families. Equity. Focus on what's fair and what's not fair. We want our students to really embrace and understand. If they see something that's not fair, recognize that it's not fair and speak up about it. And that leads to an action. Stand up, speak up, say, hey, this is not fair. And why is this not fair? And explain. Those positive discussions really start in the classroom between the teachers and the students to be involved with that social interaction. If they see something happen, step in, have a discussion. Let's see if we can maybe have a lesson plan about it and really embrace all of the aspects of it. Have problem solving is the goal. We'd like to see all of our students be able to recognize and act on any problems they see. We have a lot of different social justice issues that are going on in our world, and I think it's important that we have students truly understand what social justice issues are and how they do affect their world. Who does it affect? Is that fair? Is it not fair? And then provide action on that. Right now, we see the Black Lives Matter student, the movement. We see a lot of students involved as to why we have this issue, and that's really important to have. It's not an overnight fix. It's an ongoing discussion from ECE all the way up to our high school level and post-graduation. The purpose of inclusivity, students, our children, they have a sense of belonging. If they don't feel safe, if they don't feel like they're welcome or recognized for their culture, how will they feel safe? How will they feel like they belong to the school environment or the outside community? It's important that we all feel included in each way that we possibly can, including recognizing identities. For example, celebrate, Day of the Dead. If that's important to your family, absolutely include their families in the activity. Have pictures, have different presentations and whatnot. That way they feel like their cultures are important and others can learn from their cultures. There's a ton of different things that we can take a look at, even if it's drawings. What is it that we're not including? So that way parents can have that discussion. I learned something new all the time about different cultures that I wasn't aware of. There's always something new. So we'll have parents involved in the classroom to be able to provide different activities for our kids that maybe we not be aware about. Some people don't have access to internet at home. Some people don't have access to books. We want to make sure all of our students have full access. How can we best support someone who may not have complete access and include them in our classroom instruction? Inclusion of the joy of learning. Make it fun. Hands-on activities is very dominant in ECE. We want to make sure it's creative. It's creative for our kids. Making masks. As long as it's appropriate, we want to make sure that it's creative. Collaborate with families. How can we make your families be inclusive in our classroom setting? For being culturally inclusive, what can staff members do? Teachers, aides, counselors, dorm counselors, how can they be involved? It's important that staff nurture and establish where their students are coming from. So everyone knows where their students are coming from as to what's going on, who's culturally relevant in their students' lives, and be involved. We want to promote a comfortable, empathetic environment. When you see something that's not fair, maybe it's something, someone who's in line first. Step in and say, hey, what happened? And have a discussion. If there's a situation on the playground where a kid says, no, I don't want to play, have a discussion as to find out why and have that empathetic communication. It's important to encourage each child to truly recognize what's not fair and remove their biases and injustices and stand up against it. Number one thing, each one of our students feels part of the classroom. Not that they're isolated, not that they are behind the classroom, they are first and foremost in our classroom. For example, posters in the classroom, alphabet letters, different dolls that are available. Do they reflect our students' diversity? We want to make sure our students have a variety of different color of skin colors. Maybe our dolls also reflect that same diversity. Introducing different types of diversity. Having alphabet letters, maybe you get curriculum ready and you have the curriculum in front of you, and most people in those pictures are white. It's a white skin color in the hands and the faces of individuals. We need to figure out if it's culturally appropriate and then make adjustments to fit. Also, really important to me is introducing different cultures, including the deaf culture, whether it be a race, a Latino, Catholic, whatever the case may be. Have that included in our classroom. That way our students can learn from different cultures, including winter holidays. Not everyone celebrates one holiday. It's important to include a variety of different holidays so students can understand and learn about those different holidays. As early as possible is important. Whatever community your child is from, have them be included to have one large community of individuals. Adding one more thing about recognizing. For example, some posters are darker skinned, more of a negative face, while the light skinned individuals tend to have more like a happier or more positive connotation to it. So we want to make sure that those pictures are reflective of both positive and negative feelings with a mixture of races. So take a look at your classroom environments. Make sure that everything is equal and accessible, and it reflects what our kids are. So that way our kids have that sense of belonging. How are you using this inclusive approach in the classroom environment? Reviewing our materials to making sure that we have enough diversity. Are we being fair with our outside community members and our families? Do they have resources that they may need? If they don't have paper, make sure we have, instead of having a project available, if the students may not have those supplies necessary, make sure all of our students have the supplies before the assignment is given. Students also need to learn to say that it's okay. It's okay to say that it's not fair. If we include some people but not others, have that discussion. It reflects a lot of, with role modeling, a lot of dialogue. It's not simplistic. If someone doesn't feel this way, why? Why do you think they have that feeling? Have a discussion instead of having different viewpoints. You're not going to learn just from me telling you. Have those kids involved in that discussion. And last but not least, celebrate and recognize each holiday. Include them in the activities. Make sure our students are feeling included. Now, discussing inclusivity, we also need to recognize there are still those internal biases. Staff, students, children. How do we recognize that and put a stop to that? We see boys can't play here, or girls can't play with us. Oh, you're too small, or you look different, or oh, you shouldn't be wearing a dress. Those are pretty common phrases that we see in our classroom. Those tend to be pushed under the rug and let those behaviors continue to middle school and high school, which leads to a lot of bullying, a lot of separation, and a lot of disrespect. It's important in ECE that we recognize girls and boys, it does not make a difference. Size does not make a difference as well. Physical abilities also does not make a difference. We all work together with our differences. How can we best support our kids? For example, if a student can't climb, I ask the student, okay, what can the student do instead? How can we have fun with the playground, maybe on the slide or on the swing, to show that role playing and that active discussion? So we can choose appropriate behaviors and appropriate responses for our kids to pick from. Now, how can we take action against prejudice? Of course, our zero tolerance policy. If something is severe, of course, we do take action. We have a conversation with the students, we contact parents and have a discussion. How can we best improve the situation? We don't minimize it, like Jacy mentioned. With those particular words, oh, they're young, it's okay, it's no big deal. No, we want to make sure that stops. Have that discussion. Is this appropriate? Is this not? What's a better word selection? Maybe can we do a different way of doing this, a different way of playing instead of having that negative connotation? We also have a multicultural room in our ECE building. It's beautiful. I know with our e-learning, unfortunately, we can't experience that. But when we're back on site, we will definitely be back in that room. And that's for all of our EC classrooms. We have some visitors coming in as well. There's different cultures, different stations, different centers represented where students can experience hands-on activities. Their drawings are up on the board. We're honoring all of their wonderful artwork, their performance in maybe some narration, some storytelling, including some guest speakers from different backgrounds. We do have our classroom and our school. We do have high expectations set for our students and for their education. We want to be able to connect with our community and continue our progress. What can you do as parents and as family members to help? If you see or recognize a discussion on ethnicity, and there's a discrimination aspect of it, maybe if there's some families discussion happening, this group tends to do this, or this group tends to do that. We want to avoid that. Understand that other people are different. Language and cultures are different, and have that discussion with your family. Encourage your family gatherings, maybe include others and learn about their cultures, learn about their language. And by differences, it's most likely we will learn from others by recognizing our differences. Having birthday parties instead of having just the individuals, the very close core friends, maybe incorporate others. Positivity and respect for all community members. And you, as a parent or a family member, set an example as a role model for all of your family to follow. Always, we are learning together. When you have a question, you can always ask the school, or the school can ask the parents question. We work together and we learn together. These are some of our sources that we used for our presentation today. Thank you, everyone. We are always here if you have any additional questions, but please remember, we are learning together too, every single day. So if you have some ideas on something to share, please share away. We learn and strive for the best, each and every one of our students, our children, and our community members as a whole. Thank you, everyone.